What if I told you Jay-Z's rise to the top wasn't just about talent, but about powerful connections that changed everything? 50 Cent just exposed a side of the story the industry never wanted you to hear. Rivalries have long been woven into the DNA of hip-hop, serving as both a catalyst for creativity and a lens through which fans interpret the ever-evolving culture. These conflicts are rarely just about personal disagreements. They ripple through the industry, shaping artistic directions, influencing collaborations, and even altering the trajectory of careers. When two icons clash, it isn't merely a headline, it becomes a cultural phenomenon. Every interview, social media post, public appearance, and lyrical bar is dissected by fans, critics, and fellow artists alike. Each word parsed for hidden meanings, subtle jabs, or overt attacks. Hip-hop, perhaps more than any other musical genre, thrives on these tensions. Because they create a narrative that extends beyond the studio, beyond the music videos, and straight into the hearts of its audience. These rivalries are stories of ambition, ego, loyalty, betrayal, and creative genius, all intertwined. And they often spark conversations that go on for years. Long after a diss track fades from the charts, in this context, the current spotlight falls on one of the most high-profile conflicts in modern rap. The ongoing tension between Jay-Z and 50 Cent. Both figures are not only legendary in their own right, but also emblematic of larger eras within hip-hop history. Jay-Z, with his decade-spanning career, entrepreneurial ventures, and status as a mogul, represents the blueprint of longevity and strategic mastery in the industry. He embodies the evolution of hip-hop from street-level storytelling to global dominance, navigating the delicate balance between artistry and business acumen. On the other side, 50 Cent emerged as a disruptor in the early 2000s. A figure who fused raw lyrical talent with an uncanny ability to dominate the commercial landscape, turning controversy into currency and street credibility into mainstream success. When these two forces collide, it is far more than a clash of personalities, it is a meeting of philosophies, strategies, and visions of what hip-hop can and should be. Every move in this feud is magnified under the public eye. When Jay-Z drops an album or gives an interview, critics and fans alike read between the lines for subtle references or coded messages aimed at 50 Cent. Conversely, 50 Cent's public statements, social media posts, and interviews are scrutinized for evidence of a deeper agenda, a personal vendetta, or strategic positioning. The interplay between them is a microcosm of a larger dynamic in the music industry, where power, influence, and perception are just as important as talent and output. It is a spectacle that draws in not only hardcore hip-hop enthusiasts but also casual listeners, pop culture observers, and media outlets, all eager to parse every nuance and speculate on the next move. Moreover, the rivalry illustrates how personal relationships in hip-hop often intersect with professional ambitions. Loyalty, respect, and reputation are currency in the genre. And when these are perceived to be compromised or challenged, tensions escalate rapidly. The Jay-Z and 50 Cent conflict is layered with years of history, past collaborations, business dealings, and competitive instincts, all of which feed the narrative. It is a reminder that in hip-hop, success is rarely measured solely by talent. It is also defined by strategic alliances, market positioning, and the ability to command attention both on and off the stage. The drama, speculation, and commentary surrounding their feud reflect a deep-seated fascination with how personal dynamics influence professional outcomes, and why fans are perpetually invested in the human stories behind the art. Ultimately, the ongoing tension between Jay-Z and 50 Cent is a vivid example of how rivalries in hip-hop are more than just confrontations. They are cultural events that illuminate the values, pressures, and ambitions that shape the genre. Each public interaction, whether a lyrical bar, a sly comment in an interview, or a business maneuver, contributes to an intricate narrative of competition, respect, and power. Fans and observers watch closely, aware that these clashes reveal not only the characters of the artists involved but also the mechanisms of the industry itself. In this way, hip-hop rivalries become living case studies in strategy, personality, and influence, demonstrating why the drama between two icons like Jay-Z and 50 Cent captures the collective imagination of an entire generation.
No, I want you to tell it.
You really are the best. You proving it here today. As much as I'm proving it, you proving it. You proving it. Yeah, that wasn't the thing. It wasn't People say that. He lost $50 million. No, that's not even close to what happened to this dude. And until you understand what happened to the dude, you don't understand what happened. Like, no, not they offered him 50 million and he turned it down. Who gonna turn down 50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Cause P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling.
The tension flared anew when 50 Cent reignited his feud with Jay-Z during a recent interview. And this wasn't just a throwaway remark, it was a carefully aimed shot in a long-running war of words. Using his own journey in the music industry as a backdrop, 50 framed his comments around the idea that success in hip-hop is not merely about talent, hustle, or vision, but also about the doors that powerful connections can open. In his telling, Jay-Z's trajectory to superstardom was less about being the sharpest lyricist in the room and more about the alliances he formed behind the scenes. The spotlight of his critique zeroed in on Jay-Z's relationship with Faba, which 50 portrayed as a turning point where DJ's career stopped being a grind and instead became a floodgate of accolades and opportunities. But 50 didn't stop it, suggesting connections played a role. He escalated with a biting metaphor designed to sting. In his version of events, the rewards tied to Jay-Z's relationship were so abundant and seemingly effortless that even their children, without recording a single note, could be imagined as racking up Grammy Awards. The jab was classic 50 Cent, theatrical, cutting, and dripping with exaggeration, designed to provoke both Jay-Z and the public into conversation. And it worked. Fans, bloggers, and industry insiders immediately dissected the comment, with some dismissing it as trolling and others viewing it as a window into a much larger grievance. What makes this moment particularly compelling is that 50 Cent's critique speaks to one of the oldest debates in music. What matters, more raw talent or strategic alliances? For decades, hip-hop has prided itself on the idea of authenticity, the notion that an artist rises because of skill, storytelling, and the ability to connect with the streets. Yet, the reality is far more complicated. Labels, producers, investors, and high-profile relationships can dramatically shape an artist's trajectory, giving them platforms and visibility that talent alone might not guarantee. By drawing attention to Jay-Z's connections, 50 isn't just insulting a rival, he's questioning the very foundation of his legacy. From another angle, the comments also reveal 50's own sense of identity within the industry. His rise to fame was built on grit, controversy, and a narrative of survival against all odds. From surviving multiple gunshots to breaking through with anthems like Indie, a club that dominated the early 2000s, by contrasting his struggles with what he paints as Jay-Z's smoother, connection-driven path, 50 positions himself as the harder, hungrier artist, the self-made man in an industry of insiders. This not only bolsters his own brand but also appeals to fans who revere the underdog story. Still, the swipe at Jay-Z was about more than just business. It carried undertones of personal resentment. Jay-Z is often celebrated as hip-hop's first true billionaire mogul, someone who seamlessly transitioned from street hustler to global businessman. For an artist like 50, who has also ventured into entrepreneurship with television, beverages, and tech investments, there is an undeniable element of rivalry, not just as rappers, but as moguls shaping their legacies outside of music, suggesting that Jay-Z's empire was built on the back of personal relationships, subtly undermines his mythos of independence and brilliance, chipping away at the narrative that he alone willed himself into greatness. And the audience plays a central role. In this feud, hip-hop culture thrives on the energy of beef. Fans take sides, dissect lyrics, and flood social media with their takes, effectively amplifying the drama. 50 understands this dynamic better than most. His career was partially built on calling out rivals, from Ja Rule to Rick Ross, and using controversy as a marketing tool. His comments about Jay-Z fit that mold perfectly. They weren't just about expressing an opinion, but about reigniting a conversation that keeps both men at the center of public attention. The brilliance and danger of 50's jab lies in its ambiguity. On one hand, it can be read as a joke, an over-the-top exaggeration, not meant to be taken literally. On the other, it can be read as a serious critique that chips away at Jay-Z's credibility. This duality ensures maximum impact because no matter how Jay-Z responds or doesn't, the narrative continues to swirl. Did 50 hit a nerve? Is there truth to what he's saying? Or is it just another instance of him weaponizing humor to unsettle his peers? In the end, this interview moment illustrates why hip-hop rivalries endure. They are about much more than bruised egos or sharp words. They are about legacy, identity, and the stories fans tell about their heroes. By casting doubt on the authenticity of Jay-Z's rise, 50 Cent isn't just sparring with a peer, he's challenging the myth-making machinery of hip-hop itself. And, as always, the world is watching, ready to pick apart every word, every metaphor, and every subtle power play between two of the culture's most formidable icons.
Jimmy Henchman proffer agreement for a drug case. And the proffer agreement revealed that Jimmy Henchman, he could have walked away if he would have given up Diddy. What you mean by that?
Well, what happened is that they had 9 different sections with Jimmy Henchman regarding his proffer agreement. So that means the feds went in there 9 different times to talk to him. And in those sessions, they asked him, what do you know about Sean Puffy Combs or Sean Diddy Combs? I don't think it was Puffy at that time. It wasn't Diddy at the time. But what do you know about Sean John Puffy Combs having sex with underage boy? And you got to realize, and people never think about this, that Jimmy and his brother, I think they had the same charges. But his brother walked away from that, and Jimmy gets life without the possibility of parole, I think. Which is crazy. For any drug charge. Nobody should spend their life in jail for drug charges. And just drug charges. But I think they try to tie him to some murders or something like that. I don't know that to be for sure, but he shouldn't spend his life in jail for no drug charges. Not at all. So, but they was going to let him walk. If he'd have probably had to, for that proffer agreement, they probably would have let him walk. If he had any information regarding Puff having sex with underage boys that the feds asked him in 2011. In 2011, brother. So what did the feds know? Because the feds not coming there unless somebody made a report or somebody made some allegations against Puff in 2011 to ask a friend of his, Jimmy Henchman, what do you know about that? But for them to ask him about that, it had to be more than a rumor. Somebody made a complaint somewhere. And the feds got hold to that complaint. Now they're going to investigate that complaint when they get people under the barrel, like they had Jimmy Henchman. That's why they asked him.
If he did know information, right, why you think he didn't tell?
Then they would ask, how do you know? And then it comes into play, whereas that if you know of anybody.
While some might dismiss 50 Cent's remarks as playful provocation or simple trolling, a deeper layer of tension simmers beneath the surface between these rap giants. Despite Jay-Z's monumental achievements and immense fortune, 50 has consistently thrown barbed comments his way over the years. He even recalled a backstage moment at the American Music Awards, where Jay-Z delivered a pointed joke at his expense and interaction that left fans wondering. Since then, many of 50's supporters have speculated that his ongoing digs may stem from striking a nerve that continues to reverberate.
A lot of people want to hear these stories and everything like that because this is stuff that happened back in the day. And then maybe that if they knew there was going to ever be a YouTube or they knew there was going to ever be social media, a lot of the stuff probably wouldn't have got played out like it did. But things happen and these are just stories from the past. I would like to use that as, what you call that? Just to clear the facts up what's going on. But it all started, we was in Atlanta. And this story starts when I'm with Puff and he's in the exotic bookstores and he's doing shopping, right? He's shopping, getting his stuff and everything like that. So, you know, this is the first time I was ever in an exotic bookstore with Puff. So, you know, I'm giving him his space. He's taking things off the shelves and stuff like that because they gave him a brown paper bag. When they gave him a brown paper bag, he was just putting stuff in there. So I said, damn, you know, he got to go put it on the counter and, you know, show everybody what he's getting. So as he going, I'm just looking at the places where he picking stuff from. So there's one part he picked up some things from up here on my left side. And then he picked like quite a few of them down. I was like, yeah, okay. He put them in the bag. So when I went by there and I looked up there and it said butt plugs. And I was like, hey, yo, I was messing with him because people don't understand, you know, we was like friends. He was a part of the same gang. So I'm still going to tease him. I'm still going to mess with him and everything like that. I could do that. It wasn't just no security thing. So I say, yo, what are you getting this for? And it said butt plugs. And he was like, yo, can I do my shopping by myself? I said, yeah, you could do it by yourself, brother. And he started walking and everything like that. So when he got I just waited at the counter. So when he got to the counter, he didn't even have to show the guy nothing. He just gave the guy a wad of money. I mean, like he gave the guy a stack, something like this. And Puff wasn't the dude that carried no 20s and no 50s and nothing like that. And I mean, like he just said, boom. And we walked out the store. So we had to leave Atlanta and go to, North Carolina for a show. You understand? And it was
Jay-Z's dramatic split with Dame Dash, who was once both a trusted business partner and close confidant, stands out as one of the most notorious episodes in his career. Their very public fallout sent shockwaves through the music industry, igniting debates about loyalty, trust, and Jay-Z's character. While his rise to the top remains undeniably impressive, the breakup also highlighted a harsher truth in the cutthroat world of entertainment. Even the strongest alliances can crumble under the weight of ambition and success.
I think that afternoon, same day, this rapper and him, they all in the room together. You know, it's Sarah, the girl, Puff, and this dude, this rapper. So I'm hearing at the door and stuff like that, like, yeah, so then next thing you know, somebody rang the doorbell. We had the presidential suite where we was at. So I opened the door and the dude said, yo, I'm here for my cousin. I said, who your cousin? And he said, Ja Rule. I said, well, he busy right now. He said, he busy doing what? I said, he with Puff. They're in the room, they busy, they don't want to be bothered. He said, well, I'm going in there. I said, bruh, you ain't going in there because he told me they don't want nobody to be bothering them. He was like, yo, I don't care, man. I'm going in there. That bull like that. I said, yo, bro, Jesus Christ had to come down here and take the air out of my body before you get in that room right there. Watch. He tried to bum rush me. I grabbed it and threw him against the piano. When I threw him into the piano, Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they butt the naked. And so then Ja was like, yo, what's going on? Yo, Jay, that's my cousin. He know me well, you know, and Puff was like, yo, Jay, what happened? I said, he tried to get in the room. I told him he couldn't get in the room. And he was like, Puff looked at Ja. He said, yo, Ja said, you ain't want to go in that room because there's a lot of freaking going on. So I was like, oh, he said it was a lot of freaking going on. So that was basically that story, man. You know what I'm saying? They went back in the room. Dude felt a certain kind of way and he left out. So I seen them at the concert the next day and they tried to, you know, form up against me. But my man Frank was like, I told my man Frank, I was like, yo, Frank, put yourself in that position. somebody trying to get in the room and Ja told you don't let nobody get in the room, what would you do? Now y'all can do whatever y'all want to do, man, but you know I ain't taking no losses. He said, yo, you good, and that was it. Bro, when Ja said, you don't
Beyond
want
the ongoing feud with 50 Cent, Jay-Z has frequently come under fire for aligning himself with divisive figures, including R. Kelly. While his musical genius and cultural impact are undeniable, critics argue that some of his collaborations reflect a willingness to trade perceived integrity for strategic advantage. Supporters counter this view, insisting that his success is less about opportunism and more a testament to his sharp business instincts and calculated decisions. The landscape of hip-hop alliances is as complex as it is public. From collaborations to conflicts, names like Diddy, Sugi, and Lil Rod surface in stories that blur personal relationships with business maneuvers. Raids, rumors, and media scrutiny often amplify these tensions, turning everyday decisions into headlines. Even close associates navigate a web of loyalties and legal entanglements, illustrating how intertwined personal and professional lives are in this high-stakes world. Amid all this, the rivalry between 50 Cent and Jay-Z continues to captivate the industry. Every public comment, subtle jab, and behind-the-scenes move fuels speculation and fan intrigue. The tension shows no signs of easing, driven by a volatile mix of personal grudges, professional rivalry, and the relentless spotlight of fame, keeping both the music world and audiences perpetually on edge.
And I got Suge on. Yeah, exactly. No question about it. What do you think is going on with all the stuff with Diddy, with Little Rod, with, all the stories that everybody's hearing about?
You mean in terms of what?
I mean, being raiding his house being raided.
I mean, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I'd ever. And then, hey, how about me? I wake up in the morning, I turn on the stage show, Hector Cuba Gooding Jr. I was like, excuse me, pull me into this. I think whatever he's dealing with, he's on his journey, man. I think that God has got him on a path where I can't imagine that he's stupid enough to do whatever he's doing and keep it on his premises. I think that the raid and all of that stuff, only time will tell who was involved, who had been a frequent guest in these places and areas. It's funny because my lawyers said, every outlet in the world wants to talk to you. And again, I'm not defining myself from some headline in the press. So I stayed quiet. And it's so funny. So I'll tell you a little story about who my girlfriend is. She gave Robert De Niro 3 grandkids. Her name is Claudine De Niro. She married his son, Raphael. They separated and we've been together for a while. But she, at one point, ran Naomi Campbell's publicity. She, at one point, ran P. Diddy's publicity, right when he started doing the white party thing. Mm-hmm. He had just gotten freed from indictment.
Pop culture has always thrived on rivalries, and few have drawn as much attention as the ongoing clash between Jay-Z and 50 Cent. The latest spark ignited when 50 Cent, in a candid interview, claimed that Jay-Z's rise wasn't just about talent, it was fueled by influential connections. He suggested that once Jay-Z began dating B.A., accolades started flowing effortlessly, turning what might have been dismissed as playful trolling into evidence of a deeper, simmering divide. Over the years, 50 Cent has repeatedly taken aim at Jay-Z, even recalling a backstage moment at the American Music Awards where a pointed joke, in his eyes, hit a raw nerve. Layered on top of this is Jay-Z's infamous split from former partner Dame Dash. A breakup that not only captivated the public but also reignited debates about loyalty and the sometimes harsh realities of ambition in the music industry. The fallout served as a stark reminder that, in the pursuit of success, personal bonds can be sacrificed. Critics also point to Jay-Z's collaborations with polarizing figures like R. Kelly as proof that ambition sometimes trumps principle. Yet supporters argue his dominance stems from careful strategy and calculated alliances rather than luck or opportunism. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's ongoing jabs from questioning the legitimacy of Jay-Z's awards, too, suggesting he abandons collaborators, have fueled a broader conversation in hip-hop. Is greatness earned purely through raw talent, or is it shaped by the connections one cultivates? As this feud continues to simmer, fans are left to wonder whether Jay-Z's legacy will be remembered for his undeniable skill, the power of his relationships, or some intricate mix of both.